In this video, I want to talk to you about the 5 reasons you need to think differently about insulation. And reason number 1 may be one of the most important, and that's comfort. So imagine for a moment there's a room in your house, and the thermostat on the wall is set to 20 degrees Celsius. Now, heating systems are designed to supply as much heat as is necessary to raise the temperature of the room to the set point of the thermostat. The comfort issue comes in when you have lots of heat being lost from that supposedly 20 degrees Celsius space. Heat loss happens all over the building, which means that some areas are going to be considerably cooler than that 20 degree room temperature that happens to be right around the thermostat. It can even get down to 15 degrees sometimes in corners and behind furniture. All that means is that you're not going to get the comfort you want as you sit there in the room. Insufficient insulation can also cause condensation to form on wall and ceiling surfaces, and that leads to mold. And really, who can possibly be comfortable in a room that's got mold growing in it? Reason number 2 to think differently about insulation is because it's a great investment. It's not unusual for a poorly insulated house to use $2,000 less of energy per year after it's been insulated properly. That's obviously decent money, but let's take a look at what it means in the real world. $2,000 a year is going to yield the same annual income as a $100,000 guaranteed investment certificate with your name on it. And it's going to keep on delivering that as long as you live in the house. Do you want a little luxury in your life? Insulation can give you that. That $2,000 a year is more than enough to buy a pretty nice all-inclusive vacation in some tropical location for a week each year. Another thing you could do with your insulation investment is to save it. If you're to take that $2,000 a year and put it in a bank account or an investment for a newborn child of yours, in 18 years, the principal alone would add up to $36,000, and then you'd have the investment gains on top, too. That's more than enough to pay for a secondary school education. Reason number 3 for why you should think of insulation differently is because it makes your home just plain more livable. It actually makes it seem bigger in a way that I'm going to show you now. Let's say you've got a typical partition wall between 2 rooms in your house. That wall is almost certainly to be hollow, and that means that it lets sound transfer from one room to another quite easily. This causes a sense of lack of privacy, and it just gets on people's nerves. But when the right kind of sound insulation is installed within a wall, it can greatly reduce sound transmission, keep sound where it belongs in the room where it was generated, and everyone's happier. This is some sound insulation going up in a partition wall, just like I explained before. It's often called acoustic insulation, and it can make a big difference to how your home feels. In fact, with the right kind of soundproofing in place, it's going to make your home feel a whole lot bigger than the floor plan would otherwise lead you to believe. Reason number 4 for why you should think of insulation differently is because of rising standards and expectations. Let's say you've got a house, and it's got insulation in the ceiling, walls, and in the basement wall. Even if that home were built as recently as 5 years ago, it might not meet minimum insulation performance standards today for some parts of the country. In fact, leading-edge homes right now are being built that use absolutely no outside energy inputs to stay warm and comfortable year-round. One of the things driving changes like this is an increase in transparency of exactly how much energy individual homes consume. This is where something called the EnerGuide rating for houses comes in. It's a system that shows how much energy is actually used by a home compared with other similar homes in the area. Energy usage is further broken down into different areas of the house, so you know exactly what you're in for before you buy the place. At least one Canadian province has plans to require EnerGuide rating analysis be applied to any home put on the market, new and resale. An EnerGuide for Houses report is quite a detailed document. It includes information on the specific house that's been analyzed. It shows exactly how energy is used in different parts of your home. And it even includes a section on on-site energy production, such as solar or wind. As energy concerns rise, more and more homeowners are going to expect this kind of information as they decide which house they're going to buy. The whole energy transparency issue is about to take a big leap forward, too. This is another reason why you need to think differently about insulation. This is a home, and superimposed on it is an infrared image of that same home. The different colors you see on the infrared image refer to the heat loss in different parts of the house. Smartphone accessories exist right now that allow anybody to see the heat loss that's occurring in your house as it's happening. There's really no way to hide energy inefficiency, and that's a great thing because it rewards energy efficiency like never before. Rising standards and expectations means that the quality of insulation products is on the rise, and the quality of installation of those products is also going up too. Here you see a modern, high-density insulation bat being installed in a wood frame wall. Notice how tightly the bats meet with the stud frame and with each other. This is key to a high-performance installation. The fifth reason you should think about insulation differently is because insulation matters more than the heat source that keeps your home warm in winter. This is pretty surprising to people, but let me explain what I mean. Consider for a moment what is probably the most expensive form of home heating energy, and that's electricity run through a typical resistance-style heater. At the other end of the spectrum, you have natural gas. It's not always the cheapest option, but it often is, especially when it can be piped in directly to your home. What many homeowners don't realize is that a generous amount of insulation installed properly can result in lower household energy bills even when your heating system isn't particularly economical or efficient. The flip side of this is true, except in the opposite way. You can have a very efficient, economical heating system, but you're still going to have to pay a lot to keep your home comfortable with insufficient insulation. So how much is enough? About 22 inches in the attic is a good starting point for most Canadian homes.